Folks, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. Good Thursday afternoon to you. It's a rainy one here in Central Virginia. Where we live in the Ivy area, the connector road to Ivy Road to get out of our neighborhood was flooded. We were uncertain, my wife and I drive our oldest son to school, and we were uncertain if our family Toyota, we have a family Ford Explorer and a family Toyota Avalon, could make it over this treacherous path of flooded road in the right in the urban ring, right across the city line in Ivy. Fortunately, the roads cleared. We navigated the flooded, treacherous path, and I got the wee lad to school in time. On a Thursday, a soggy Thursday, but I've heard reports that Old Garth Road has been flooded. And I've heard parents ask the question, why were schools not delayed because of these types of conditions? The rain we had over the over the night was a severe thunderstorm. If it did not wake you up, it certainly woke up my wife and I, rattling the house and brightening our bedroom with lightning strikes and thunder rumbles. And the crazy thing is more rain, ladies and gentlemen, in the forecast. I think we went through the dog days of summer with very little precipitation. Our yards, our grass, our gardens, and our plants browning and dying. And it seems in the last, 10 days, you got Noah's Ark. We just need a pair of giraffes and a pair of hippopotamus, a pair of koalas, and a pair of grizzly bears to trot their way onto Noah's Ark and look to stay afloat. All right, let me get to today's rundown. There's a lot we're going to cover on the show. Looks like the fourth headline, Jude, on your rundown is cut off and needs some massaging. And you can just strike Manning there to get Institute on. We're going to talk Eljo's traditional clothes and the fact that an iconic business that's been around for 74 years is now for sale. Eljo's is a clothing store that I think is as iconic as just about any business in this community. First started in 1950 by a pair of brothers. One who graduated from the University of Virginia, one who dropped out of the University of Virginia. Joe graduated in 1949, and El dropped out of the University of Virginia. And together, the brothers started a store in 1950. And El and Joe Hyman had an eye for taste and class, and they had an eye for the finer things of life. And Miles Thurston, during his senior year of high school, he had no plans to go to college because his expectation was to be drafted into Vietnam like many his age. He joined the Marine Corps on his 17th birthday, went to active duty after high school graduation, and served until he was 19. Miles returned from service in 1964, was not called to Vietnam, came back to Charlottesville, and found a job at Eljo's Traditional Clothes. Now Miles Thurston and friend of the program, his son Trent, have their iconic business on the market and are looking for the third generation owner to continue their fantastic legacy of dressing alumni, locals, tourists alike with some of the finer clothing possible. We'll cut to the chase. Times have changed. Another piece of collateral damage, I think, since COVID and the pandemic and lockdown and this Zoom world. Look around. Working professionals just are not wearing the same kind of, how would I characterize this? The suits, the business suits, the sports coats, the ties, the button-down shirt. I think this is something yours truly has fallen victim to. Prior to COVID, on this talk show, you found me in one of 10 sports coats and button-down shirts of the 25 or 30 variety. Slacks that were pressed and ironed, and yes, rainbow sandals. but from ankles up, it was always dressed to the nines. And since COVID, I find myself now wearing Robacks and Lululemon slacks and tennis shoes. Today I have a pair of white Asics gel Rockets on. COVID's changed so much. This Zoom work from home, and COVID has changed Trent Thurston's perspective on carrying on the family business. Trent, again, a friend, has said, look, I, for 2 months, did not go into work at Eljo's. The store was closed in 2020. And in that time, I realized that I needed a change before I became much older. And now that his father is retiring, Miles Thurston, who again started working at Eljo's in the 60s, the business is in a bit of transition. The Thurstons are going to give Eljo's to the end of the year. If they can't find a buyer, they are going to have a fire sale and have one last hurrah with their customers and clients. I've been told that there are a handful of interested parties potentially looking at purchasing Eljo's and continuing the legacy. But we will be straightforward. There are headwinds for the fine clothing market and how people purchase fine clothing. The internet has changed so much of our consumer behavior, and it certainly has with Eljo's. So we'll talk about Eljo's, its legacy. There's not many businesses in this community that have been around 74 years, ladies and gentlemen. And we will compare and contrast it. Frankly, Judah, you have to update this list, ilovecville.com/old CVille restaurants. Do we have one? Actually, this isn't a restaurant. Do we have one that is not tied to restaurants, an iconic business?
Not yet.
One on I Love CVille?
I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe that could be a piece of content we create on ilovecville.com. You did a fantastic job, Judah Wickower, of creating this list, the oldest and longest running restaurants around Charlottesville, Virginia. You can find that at ilovecville.com/old CVille restaurants. In fact, a friend of the program that is watching right now, Stephanie Wells Rhodes, her family business, Interstate, fits that model. Stephanie, is it 1969, if memory serves correct? Your family business launched by your grandfather with one truck and pay phones around the Charlottesville area? I believe it's 1969. That could be another one we add to the iconic business list. We'll unpack some of the institutions in this community that have proudly served Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and beyond. I'm excited for this show. We'll also talk on this program the Richmond Times-Dispatch, I hate to say this, pink slipping David Teel and Mike Barber. They laid him off. I grew up in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I grew up reading the Daily Press. And the Daily Press, its star columnist was David Teel. David Teel was laid off by the Daily Press and found a new home at the Richmond Times-Dispatch. And within the last handful of dozen hours, Mike Barber and David Teel have both been told by Lee Enterprise and its flagship paper, the Richmond Times-Dispatch, that they no longer have a job. And here you have two men in their 50s and 60s that are potentially having to reinvent themselves professionally. I want to talk about what's happening with legacy media. I want to highlight the careers of David Teel and Mike Barber on today's program. You're looking at two reporters, sports writers, that are as iconic as that you will find in the Commonwealth of Virginia, frankly, the Atlantic Coast Conference. Okay? The only one potentially that has more of an icon status is my colleague and friend, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe, the co-host of the Jerry and Jerry Show. We'll also talk on today's program, the University of Virginia climbing in the U.S. News and World's Report national rankings. I want to highlight tomorrow that Neil Williamson is going to be on the show. He's going to co-host Real Talk with me. We will find out if there are additional guests from Neil shortly, but he will be in the co-host saddle tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. And next week, on the 3rd of October, we have Jefferson Council President Thomas Neal in the house to talk about the state of the University of Virginia. So much to cover on the show. We'll highlight Johnny Ornalis and Mexicali Restaurant, Judah, with some imagery. Mexicali on West Main Street, 50 parking spaces on site. Johnny and his friend River just built quite an impressive business, a business that, if it continues with this kind of success, is going to be an icon very shortly and very soon thereof. Johnny and Mexicali, thank you for being a partner of the show. Pro Renata, I think, is heading into icon status. The Crozet, the Disney World of Crozet, Pro Renata's got points of sale everywhere, real estate development, hiring nearly 100 people, buying brewery equipment that's nearly $1 million in value from the old Skipping Rock location, and now improving its product. I mean, I'm so impressed with the beer baron, John Shave, and what he has done, going from dentist to beer baron. Judah Wickower will welcome you on a two-shot. Let me know when you're on there. I start the program with the same question every week, every show. What is the headline, Judah, that you are most intrigued to chitter-chatter about today?
I think Eljo's is compelling. It tells a story of not just how businesses have changed, but also how styles have changed. I think we don't realize sometimes that Eljo's being on the corner was actually used by students. There used to be a time when students, were dressed as well as lawyers, and Eljo's is where they got their clothes.
My dad went to the University of Virginia, first started as a student in 1968. He was a graduate of Hampton High School in the Peninsula District, a proud Hampton Crabber. The middle child of three brothers, my dad. His oldest brother, Jack, went to West Virginia University in Morgantown. My father dropped off by his father, Jules Miller, my grandfather, who has since passed away a long time ago, and times were different. Mm-hmm. My grandfather visited my father twice at the University of Virginia, despite being less than 3 hours away. The first time, when he dropped him off for school as a first year. And the second and last time,
when he graduated?
When he graduated from school. Every time in between, when my father had to come to and from Charlottesville to his home in Merrimack Shores in Hampton, Virginia, he caught a ride with friends or he hitchhiked home. He hitchhiked home from Charlottesville to Hampton as a first year, as a second year, as a third year, as a fourth year. When he started at the University of Virginia, my father, in 1968, he proudly would attend classes in a coat and tie, a requirement. If it's 105 degrees, you wore a coat and tie, slacks and nice shoes, button-down shirt. If it's freezing cold, coat, tie, slacks, button-down shoes, button-down shirt, and nice shoes. Then he vividly remembers the University of Virginia when he started, which was all men, all male. In the middle of his time at the university, women were admitted. And what started in 1968 as a coat, tie, button-down shirt, pressed slacks, and nice shoes, finished, he said, with tank tops, shorts, Birkenstocks, sandals, and long hair.
While he was still there?
While he was still there.
Wow.
So it was in a complete 180. And as you highlighted, students, when they first, male students, when UVA was all men, it was dressed to the nines. When I went to UVA, when I chose to go to class, it was in rainbow sandals, cargo shorts, and tank tops, much like what my dad remembered upon graduating from school. When Eljo's first launched, it was positioned in an iconic location to help grow its iconic brand on the UVA corner. That's when I first got a taste of the Thurston's brand, was on Elliowood Avenue as a student. Then, much to my enjoyment and much to my pleasure and much to my enrichment, I got to meet Trent Thurston. Trent is a diehard UVA sports fan. Trent used to travel with the basketball team during the Pete Gillen era. And I used to host a sports talk show on multiple media companies. The first one when it was Clear Channel Communication on Sports Radio 1400 WKAV, then Monticello Media and George Reed, an out-of-market radio baron, purchased a handful of stations from Clear Channel Communications. Some of those stations were Country 99.7 WCYK, Hot 101.9. What was Vinny Keiss on? Vinny Keiss was on, he was on a classic station. News Talk 1260 WCHV, 107.5 was in that mix, and our little station, Sports Radio 1400 WKAV. So I'm hosting this talk show, fresh out of UVA, working for the Daily Progress for Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe. Part-time job leads to full-time job. Full-time job at the Daily Progress leads to a 30-minute Saturday radio show. A 30-minute Saturday radio show turns into an hour, then 2 hours, then it turns into Monday through Friday in the drive time slot. And Trent Thurston was a diehard sports fan. He listened to the show. Then he started sponsoring the show as a partner. Then he started offering Eljo's giveaways on the show. And I got to know him.
Nice.
And then once a week he would start coming on the show and talking sports with me on the program. It was one of the heyday, probably the last heyday of AM talk radio. And at that point, I realized that this guy loves the brand Eljo's. He loves the University of Virginia. He loves Charlottesville, and he has an opinion on a lot of things. And he's quick to offer that opinion on a lot of things. And it's bittersweet. He says that it's absolutely bittersweet in multiple media stories. The latest on the UVA website, news.virginia.edu. He said, I had an awakening during COVID when the store was closed for 2 months, and that I wanted to do something completely different. Now, both Trent and his father, Miles, say the store is doing great.
Yeah.
The store is doing great. I was very impressed with, what was it, they do 600 custom sports coats a year, each with a price tag of about $1,200, the Thurston say.
And they've pivoted strongly away from UVA.
Had to.
Yeah.
Had to pivot strongly away from a student walk in, we need clothes. When Eljo's open, the student could go in, be outfitted with clothes, and on an honor code payment system, could leave with the clothes without paying, on a handshake
and
the owners, and say, we'll pay you what we owe when we can. And the owners would be fine with that.
I believe that was their stipulation, oftentimes. And on top of that, they weren't charging interest.
Weren't charging the VIG.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they find a buyer. I hope the buyer's the right buyer that continues the Thurston legacy, the El and Joe legacy. I hope we see Eljo's traditional clothes that is in his 74th year celebrate 100 years.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's great to see businesses that have sustained themselves in a community like this continue.
This has led
and pass the torch.
This has led you and I to ask the question: the icons of icons, the Ragged Mountain running shops of the Charlottesville area, the Eljo's of the Charlottesville area, the Timberlake Drugstore, founded in 1890, ladies and gentlemen. The fantastic lunch counter with milkshakes and grilled cheeses and a wood-burning fireplace in the back of a drugstore. The Virginian restaurants that just celebrated a 100-year anniversary, founded in 1923. Mickey Tavern in 1928. Riverside Lunch in 1935. Jack and Jill's in 1944. The Corner Restaurant, the Templetons, founded in 1950. The Nook in 1951. The White Spot in 1953, Foods of All Nations in 1955. The Mill Room, 1964 at Boar's Head, The Aberdeen Barn in 1965. How many recruits had their recruitment closed, signed, sealed, and delivered at the booths of the Aberdeen Barn, those circular booths of a classic steakhouse, upholstered with the red covering, with some cheese dip and those pretzel sticks and the prime rib and the coaches drinking martinis out of martini glasses, the loaded baked potato with the ramekin that would spin in a circle, the bacon bits, the cheese crumbles, the bacon bit crumbles. Iconic.
Good stuff. You're making me hungry.
Lumpkins, founded in 1970, now no more. Needs to be removed for that list, Judah. ilovecville.com/old CVille restaurants. The Ivy Inn, 1973. Integral Yoga, 1975. CNO, 1976. Blue Moon Diner, 1979. Miller's, 1981. Dave Matthews, birthed at Miller's. Not literally, but a career platformed in trampoline from playing open mics while bartending to make some extra money at Miller's. Dave Matthews. Mel's Cafe, 1984. I want to ask you, the viewer and listener, this question. Some of the iconic businesses that have withstood the test of time. The Interstate 1969, your grandfather with one truck, some stick-to-itiveness, and payphones around the community? I believe it's 1969 for Interstate. Ragged Mountain Running Shop, the Lorenzonis have now passed that on to their children to run and to manage and to grow and to expand. What other brands jump out, ladies and gentlemen? Help us crowdsource a list of iconic and institutional businesses. We got a really good one on ilovecville.com. I will share the link in the personal comments of my personal Facebook page. So if you go to facebook.com/Jerry Miller Now, I just shared the link in the comment section of my personal Facebook page. Holly Foster and Henrico's watching over there. We love to put together an iconic businesses. Yes, sir, James Watson. We did say CNO. And thank you for that suggestion, sir. We appreciate James Watson. 1976 founded. We have a fantastic list of iconic businesses in the restaurant category. We love one that's not tied to restaurants, and we need your help. Let's crowdsource it together. Eljo's 1950. Logan Wells Claylow watching the program. She says her husband worked at Eljo's for 25 years.
Wow.
I enjoyed meeting your husband at the Boar's Head, Logan Wells Claylow. Good man you got there.
Brown's Lock opened the same year.
Oh, you're educating me there. We should start writing a list there, J-Dubs. If you got oh, you already look at that. Judah's enterprising and on top of it. Brown's Lock and Safe, what year?
1950.
1950 for Brown's Lock and Safe.
Yep.
Okay. We got 1950 for Eljo's and 1950 for Brown's Lock and Safe. I'm going to do a quick Google for Ragged Mountain Running Shop. Literally doing this on the fly with you, the viewer and listener. 40 plus years for Ragged Mountain Running Shop. Let's have it right on their website. So you got 40 plus on Ragged, the Lorenzonis. What else comes to mind? How about Bailey Printing on Harris Street? Let me look at Bailey Printing. That jumps out to mind for me. Do a Google of Bailey Printing. Viewers and listeners, let us know your ideas. We don't have all the answers. Company history on Bailey Printing on the drop-down menu. Bailey Printing opened for business in 1950.
Another 1950.
As an architectural blueprint provider for local architects. That's another 1950. So you have Eljo's traditional clothes, 1950, Bailey Printing, 1950, and Brown's Lock and Safe in 1950. What else comes to mind?
The Other Men's Shop.
What's the year on that one?
Let's see.
How about R.E. Lee Enterprises? That one is a pretty significant history behind it. Let me see if I can find that. The Lee Building Company. There's a CVillepedia, probably created by Sean Tubbs of R.E. Lee & Son. R.E. Lee & Son is one of the oldest construction firms in Virginia, which originated in Charlottesville. 1949 for that one. Excuse me. 1939. R.E. Lee was co-founded in 1939 by Robert Edward Lee, a mechanical engineer, and his son, Robert Irwin Lee. The Lees moved to Charlottesville in 1911. The younger Lee, 1908 to 1978, his time on this planet, attended Charlottesville High School and graduated from the University of Virginia School of Engineering in 1929 with a B.S. in civil engineering. He served as a major in the Army Corps of Engineers in World War II from 43 to 45. I love this stuff, man. The third generation representative of this family-owned business is Robert Irwin Lee. Robin, I'm doing some business with Robin now, the treasurer of the company. This business, R.E. Lee & Son, founded Judah in 1939.
And if you think that's good, I don't have the actual year yet, but they're touting themselves. The men's and boys shop touts themselves as the oldest continuously operating business in Charlottesville.
Wow.
I'll have to get a year on that, though.
Oldest continuously operating business in Charlottesville? Well, we know for a fact that's got to be, we need a year from them because Timber Creek Drugstore has been around since 1890.
Yeah.
You do some quick math for me on that. 1890 to 1990 is 100 years, plus 134 years for Timber Creek, or excuse me, Timberlake. 134 years for Timberlake Drugstore. Is that the longest running icon in the Charlottesville area? We need a year from the men and boy shop. Bill McChesney, this is right up your alley, sir. Logan Wells Claylo, this is right up your alley. We'd love to crowdsource a list of the longest running businesses. We have them for restaurants in the Charlottesville. James Watson's offering some perspective. He says Fitzgerald Tire. Judah, can you do some recon on Fitzgerald Tire? James Watson, I love that you're contributing to this show, sir. You're making us better. James Watson, you let us know Fitzgerald Tire if you can find any recon on intel on Fitzgerald Tire. James Watson also says Brown's Dry Cleaners on Preston. It's now called Skyline Cleaners. I met the gentleman who owns it a few weeks ago when I dropped something off, and I think he said it had been in the same family for about 40 years. Brown's Dry Cleaners is one to put on the list, as is Fitzgerald Tire. Vanessa Parkhill, the queen of Earlysville, watching the program. She says Allied Concrete. Let me see if I can do some recon on Allied Concrete. We could do this together, viewers and listeners. This is going to be a flip book of Charlottesville history, this Today Show. Allied Concrete, since 1943, Vanessa Parkhill. That's a great one, VP. Since 1943 for Allied Concrete. Our history. Let me read a little history. Allied Concrete was founded as Allied Supply Company by Wilson McNeely, a 1943 graduate of the School of Architecture at the University of Virginia. In the beginning, Allied Supply Company manufactured concrete block done manually using wooden molds. Still today, Allied Concrete is locally owned and has grown to be the premier manufacturer of concrete masonry units and a supplier of masonry supplies to contractors and homeowners with locations all over Virginia. Excellent call, VP. What'd you find on
Fitzgerald Tire was 1973.
1973 for Fitzgerald? Mm-hmm. So what's that, 27 and 41? You do some quick math on that? 51 years for Fitzgerald? That's a good one, James Watson. Mm-hmm. Anything 50 plus. Make sure you have interstate on there. Rob Neal, Hansman and Weeble. The CPAs, right, Rob? Right down the street from us? Gosh, Rob, you make the program better, my friend. 1928 for Hansman and Weeble, Judah.
Wow.
They're about to hit 100 years on that. God, that gives me goosebumps. Creating something that has 100 years of sustainability and longevity in business. Neil Williamson, he's going to co-host Real Talk with me tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. He's got 2 for us, Judah. Neil, you make the program better all the time. Support the enterprise, Free Enterprise Forum. Love this guy. J.F. Bell Funeral Home, 1917 for J.F. Bell Funeral Home. Is that the one right down the street from us here on the mall, Judah, in downtown?
I believe so.
He also says the Charlottesville Regional Chamber of Commerce, Judah, 1913 for the Charlottesville Regional Chamber of Commerce. Rob and Neil, you're making us better. God, 1913 for the Regional Chamber of Commerce. Neil's got another good one for us. The Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors turns 100 years old next year. 100 years old for CAR. Think about an organization that has had to pivot and navigate headwinds. All of these have. John Blair watching the program. John Blair's watching the show. He's got history and knows it inside and out. Heartwood Books on the Corner, Judah. 1975 for Heartwood Books on the Corner. Judah's burning through the pen and the paper over there. Look at you. Heartwood Books on the Corner, 1975. He says, if you know anything about Elliowood Avenue, that used to have some interesting businesses back in the day. He also says Virginia National Bank opened in 1998. So they're 26. Virginia National Bank started by the Craig family, if I'm correct, right? Crozet Hardware founded in 1949, Judah. How about Martin's Hardware? John's got me thinking, making us better there, John Blair. Martin's Hardware. I'm going to the About page. We're literally doing this together, guys. Good Lord, Martin Hardware was founded in 1893.
Ooh.
Tell me if you need me to slow down here, J-Dubs.
I mean, this is going to get unwieldy before long.
We're going to have to set a threshold of at least 50 to 60 years to be on this list.
Yeah, Martin Hardware was 1893
for Martin Hardware.
Oh, man.
That is amazing.
I bet they weren't selling gas grills back then.
That's a Judah joke right there. But that was a good one. Give you some props on there. That means Martin Hardware is, I'm literally having to do some quick math here, 131 years old.
Yeah.
Martin Hardware is 131 years old. Here's the history of Martin Hardware. Martin Hardware has been around for more than 131 years, almost 60 years ago. And this is a little off because they haven't updated the copy on their About page in some time here. But we moved to our present location at 941 Preston Avenue. That was about 70 years ago. They moved to Preston Avenue. Since the beginning, Martin Hardware has served the community, offering builders hardware, paint and lacquer, plumbing, electrical, welding supplies, and now an extensive line of Weber and Traeger grills. Martin Hardware even offers a convenient propane tank exchange right at our store. We also maintain a stock of housewares and seasonal items. Services like duplicating keys and rekeying of locks. Look at how they've had to pivot to stay relevant and to compete with the big boxes like Lowe's and now soon Home Depot. There used to be viewers and listeners, help me remember this. There used to be a hardware store directly across from Martin's. Remember? Directly across from Preston Avenue, there used to be a hardware store. They were competing directly with each other. Janice Boyce Trevelyan helped us suggest Martin Hardware. Thank you, JBT. I didn't see your comment. She said 1893. Logan Wells Claylo's got another one for you. You're right, Logan, you're great at this. So are you, Janice. You ready for this one, Judah? Mm-hmm. New Dominion Bookstore, 1924, by her great uncle, C.C. Wells. 1924 for New Dominion Bookstore.
Nice.
She's got another one for you. Tell me when you're ready. I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you here.
All right. McGuire
Woods Law Firm. 1834. Good God, 1834. But McGuire Woods Law Firm. That means McGuire Woods Law Firm is 190 years old? Who's going to beat that? The McGuire Woods Law Firm was founded in 1834, according to Logan Wells Claylow. And she knows this stuff. She knows Charlottesville like the Pope knows holy water. Maria Marshall Barnes says, you should look into Tarleton Oak Service Station. That's the one right over here where it's downtown, heads into North Downtown on High Street. In fact, there's a big sign in front of the Tarleton Oak Service Station that is, it's for sale, and they're hyping the development potential of Tarleton Oak Service Station. But she says, look into, it's, let me see if I can look into that. And Logan Wells Claylow's exactly right. Across from thank you, Logan. You're making me better here. Across from Martin's Hardware was Meadowbrook Hardware. I remember as a student at the University of Virginia going to Meadowbrook. That one didn't win the hardware wars. Oh my gosh, look at the website for Tarleton Oak right here. This is legitimately a website that was last updated on April 17th, 2012. It says it on the bottom. So that means Tarleton Oak Service Center is 47 years old, Judah.
Nice.
47 for Tarleton Oak if you're writing that one down. Good call there, Maria Marshall Barnes. We're doing some crowdsourcing of the most iconic and institutional businesses. More are coming on my page. Stephanie Wells Rhodes, 1969 for Interstate. So I was right on that. I'll tell a little glimmer of the Interstate story. I know this one firsthand with working with this fantastic family business. Stephanie's grandfather started Interstate as a pest control company in 1969. This gentleman, who has since passed away, had his personal truck, and he used payphones around the Charlottesville area to call his customers and give them a heads up that he was coming to pest control their house, to offer pest control to their services to their house. Then her grandfather brought his son, Stephanie's father, into the business, Mr. Greg Wells. Mr. Greg Wells, fantastic human being, an American Legion baseball coach. And Stephanie's father took what was one truck and a man's business and boomed it into the American Dream success story. Interstate, a handful of years ago, was acquired by American Pest, the pest control portion of the business. The service company is still in operation and is doing fantastic work with Greg Wells leading the charge. Stephanie's brother. You're looking at a 3-4 generation business right there. I love this kind of stuff. Neil Williamson says, Tools Jewelers. I saw Mary the other day at outside Tools, walking to her jewelry store. She's changed. I talk about how the world has changed. I used to wear, and I still have them, nice watches. Very nice watches. 3 or 4 of them that I would rotate. And I'd have to change the battery on them, and I'd take them to Tools, talk to Mary. She'd change them for me. She'd do any repair work for me. Now I wear a Apple Watch that is not nearly as nice looking. Basically, it's a plastic piece of crap that I think is made in China. But the reason I wear it pretty much is for this purpose here. Where's my iPhone? Oh, there it is right there. And the ability to count calories while working out. I often look at this watch and be like, why am I wearing this plastic piece of crap from China instead of the nice watches that I have? Often I think about that. He says, Tools 1945. Here's another one, Judah. Rob Neal, UVA Credit Union 1954. Nora Gaffney, you guys are awesome. Do you have W.A. Hartman memorials? Are you writing these down?
Trying to. Let's see.
You don't have W.A. Hartman memorials? No, I know. She asked that question. I know we don't have them on there. W.A. Hartman memorials, 1925. They're in their 99th year. That is amazing. Congratulations. As someone whose business is 16 years old, I hope to have that kind of longevity. 99th year for W.A. Hartman Memorials. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps over here. We'll do our best. John Blair's got one for you. Ready for this one, Judah?
Yeah.
WINA was founded in 1949.
Wow.
This is their 75th anniversary. He says, am I the only one a little surprised that they haven't made a bigger deal out of their 75th anniversary? Absolutely. Champion that. The general manager, is he the vice president right now? Friend of the program. Garrett Klingel. Oh, he's the president and general manager. Garrett Klingel is making moves, baby. The president and general manager of the Charlottesville Radio Group, Garrett Klingel. Now this radio cluster, News Radio 1070 WINA, 75 years, unbelievable. Garrett Klingel, the president and general manager of 97.3 3WV, 97.5 3WV, Z95, Country 92.7, 106.1 in the corner, 1450 Fox Sports Radio and News Radio 1070 WINA. He started as an ad sales representative that I was doing business with some of my clients. He was repping some of our clients like Scott Wagner Sports Medicine. We were doing business, placing ad sales, and now he is the president and general manager of this radio group. Props and kudos to you, Garrett Klingel. An amazing trajectory, professional. Unbelievable. Such an incredible community we live in. I know oftentimes on this program we talk about the challenges the community faces, the headwinds, and I highlight what I find to be dysfunction at times with the burden placed on taxpayers and the don't see the forest through the trees decision making with elected officials. And I highlight how UVA is expediting gentrification in our community. And I highlight those headwinds and those challenges because I love the community so much. It's not cynicism. It's points of concern that I'm seeing that I want to potentially help change by utilizing our platform to bring them to the attention because we see media outlets are watching the program. Why are media outlets watching the program? Look at what the Richmond Times-Dispatch just did. They just laid off their two most iconic and institutional sports writers, Mike Barber and David Teel. And now those beats and columns will be covered by rookies, lower paid, cheaper personnel that is going to have to work harder for less money, do more with less. And when you have to do more with less, you are devaluing the product you're providing readers, and you're doing an injustice to the community. I see with the platform, we have media outlets all over Central Virginia watching the show, scouring news coverage. And I want to put the platform and utilize it in a way where it's the water cooler of our community. But today's program highlights how much we love Charlottesville. We've spent the last 50 minutes championing the most iconic businesses in a community. Judah's already done a hell of a job putting together the iconic restaurant list. When you put this iconic business list together, make sure you co-promote, make sure you mingle or cross-promote the iconic restaurant list. So viewers and listeners and readers alike can toggle from the list of iconic businesses over to the list of iconic restaurants. We want cross-traffic on both, please, sir. UVA Hospital, Judah, 1828. Maria Marshall, or Janice Boyce Trevelyan.
28?
1828. The UVA Hospital about to celebrate a 100-year anniversary. UVA Hospital better do some PR and damage control, and I'll leave it at that. 1828 for UVA Hospital. Do we have Hill and Wood on there?
Not yet.
Hill and Wood is another one. Good night. Goodness gracious. I think we have 3 funeral parlors in there. Being in the business of death must be sounds like there's some upside in the business of death. What are the things that we're always going to face in life? What's the saying?
Death and taxes.
Death and taxes. There's an accounting firm in there, and there's some funeral parlors in there. Death and taxes, ladies and gentlemen.
Hill and Wood was 1907.
1907 for Hill and Wood. That was a great one. Death and taxes, gosh. Oh, we got CPA firms and funeral parlors. Kevin Higgins, we got Martin Hardware. Yes, sir, 1893. James Watson, I often wonder what the future of classic old school high-end watches is now that we have all these Apple Watches. I think James, I know one of my hobbies is those watches. I'm still wearing an Apple Watch, and by no means are any of my fancy watches of the Rolex variety. They are not. They're pegs lower than the Rolexes. But I like to follow this category closely. The high-end watch category, the Rolex, the Pateks, and above, they are crushing it. They have proven to be, over centuries of time, a fantastic investment and do a very good job of holding their value, especially if you maintain the condition of the watch face and the band and you keep the box and the paperwork that come with it. You're talking about something that returns value, not like a car where it's dropping 30 or 40% and clip as soon as you drive it off the lot after purchasing it new. The Rolex return on investment is significant over time. And that's a piece. It's not. I don't even. It's not even like a watch. It's a timepiece that can be passed on from generation to generation. Olivia Branch, the JF Bell Funeral Home. I believe we have that on that list. Do we, Judah?
Yeah.
Thank you, OEB, the Queen of Keswick. Love you, Olivia Branch. Vanessa Parkhill says Crutchfield. I know you got your hands full over there, Judah. I'll look at Crutchfield myself here. Let's look at Crutchfield. Crutchfield. Gosh, Crutchfield's got a Wikipedia. Crutchfield has over 600 employees. Unbelievable. 1974 by William G. Bill Crutchfield Jr. Unbelievable. 1974 makes Crutchfield, having to do some quick math here, 50 years old.
Yeah.
50 on Crutchfield. $1969 until 2020 for Interstate. Stephanie, thank you for that. Beck Cohen, Maria Marshall Barnes. Beck Cohen, I'll do the Google on Beck Cohen. I know you got your hands full.
I already found that one, 1955.
1955 for Beck Cohen? That's unbelievable. A heating, cooling, plumbing, a duct sealing, and generator company has transpired and sustained and maintained since 1955. We have to do it's just unbelievable. Charlottesville Glass and Mirror, Maria Marshall Barnes.
They've got a big sticker on their window.
Charlottesville Glass and Mirror?
Yeah.
How about that one?
I think it's 70 years.
Oh my gosh,
if I'm not
Charlottesville Glass and
mistaken.
Mirror is established in 1954. I'm on the website. 1954, they're on the list.
70 years.
That is crazy. That's 70 years. Listen to this. Charlottesville Glass and Mirror, established in 1954 by John Corley. C-O-R-L-E. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your last name, sir. I think it's Corley. Charlottesville Glass and Mirror was the first glass company in Charlottesville. Mr. Corley opened his business bank. This is incredible. Listen to this. Oh, my God. I'm reading from the website. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Charlottesville Glass and Mirror was established in 1954 by John Corley. Charlottesville Glass and Mirror was the first glass company in Charlottesville. Mr. Corley opened his business bank account with a deposit of $2. His collateral was
big money back then.
His collateral was strong moral values and the ethic of hard work. The original shop on Vinegar Hill was quickly outgrown. Mr. Corley built a new shop on Meade Avenue, just east of Jack and Jill, where Blue Ridge Graphics is currently located. In 1958, the Army Reserve Building became available. John Corley saw this as a great opportunity for relocation and decided to move the company to its present spot at 1428 East High Street. Oh, it's unbelievable. And listen to this. In 2000, Dwight Corley purchased the company from his father, continuing the family tradition, serving the commercial and residential glass needs of Charlottesville. Dwight expanded the business in 2008 by opening another store in Ruckersville, a small community just north of Charlottesville. 6 years later, in the spring of 2014, the Ruckersville location became the commercial fabrication shop. Oh my gosh! With the bright future on the horizon, the third generation of Charlottesville Glass and Mirror is poised to continue and improve the strong moral values and ethic of hard work started by John. Dwight has worked to instill the values and ethics taught to him by his father and pass them on to the next generation. I love that. I love that. Maria Marshall Barnes, Cosner Brothers, 1957, Judah. Cosner Brother Body Shop. The whole East High Street corridor.
Yeah.
Cosner Brothers, Jack and Jill's, Charlottesville Glass and Mirror. You Google Blue Ridge Graphics. Scott Harris says Timberlake's Pharmacy. Absolutely, Scott. We mentioned that earlier in the program. Timberlake Drugstore, founded in 1890. Let me know what Blue Ridge Graphics is, J-Dubs. Unbelievable. Neil Williamson, I love Neil's jokes. Funeral homes, people are dying to work with you. That's a dad joke.
Dying to see you.
As a dad, I now very much appreciate dad jokes. Melissa Peterson Carter. I don't think you've commented on the show. Have you ever, Melissa Peterson Carter? If so, I apologize. I'm going to send you a friend request. She said, Better Living Building Supply, fellas, 1893.
Wow.
That's amazing. So that's 131 years. Quick math for Melissa Peterson Carter's Better Living Building Supply. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for that suggestion.
Is that 1893?
1893. Unbelievable. Love the area. Absolutely love it.
Blue Ridge Graphics, 1979.
1979 for Blue Ridge Graphics. So that means quick math. Blue Ridge Graphics, 20, 44, 45 years for Blue Ridge Graphics. Putting some of the best t-shirts and graphics and merch and memorabilia out there. That's a second generation that's running it. Unbelievable. I love this stuff, guys. How many do we have on that list?
I'm putting it down on paper.
What's that?
I'm putting it down on the computer now. I'm trying to organize them by name.
He says it's not a business, but Christ Episcopal Church was founded in 1820. I think you put Christ Episcopal Church on there, 1820. How about First Baptist Church on Park Street? Let's see First Baptist. First Baptist Church, man, what an iconic spot for First Baptist. History, it's got a history page. That's a good sign. Oh my goodness gracious. I was going to say something else, but I'm talking about a church here. On Tuesday, August 16th of 1831, a delegation of 12 members of Pretty Creek Baptist Church went to Charlottesville and began to preach. They preached Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and then baptized 18 converts on Wednesday evening in the Rivanna River. On Tuesday morning, August 18th, a new church was organized as Charlottesville Baptist Church with 31 members, 12 male and 19 female. Originally, the church met in the Charlottesville courthouse, and at the turn of the last century, we became known as First Baptist Church with a new building. 1831, for First Baptist Church.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Praise. Rob Neal, trust this man and respect his commentary. I've been fortunate to work for multiple local family businesses that exceed 50 years at this point and been on boards for a lot of them. Seeing the acute impact for local families and those they employ and community fabric these have woven for Charlottesville is such a part of what makes this place special. Interesting to see how many current startups continue this trend with the more transient and second home community we are becoming with remote work. Great comment. Barrett Early Learning Center, Judah, 1935 from Nora Gaffney. Nora Gaffney, Barrett Early Learning Center, 1935. Unbelievable. We should also turn this into, as you compile the list, include into it a piece of video content like we've been doing for YouTube publication, if you could, please, sir. Kevin Higgins, Crescent Inn, Zion's Crossroads. See if you can find Crescent Inn, Zion's Crossroads, J-Dubs. And Vanessa Parkhill says, Grace Episcopal in Keswick. Churches will take this list way back to time. The Virginian, yes ma'am, Olivia Branch, we highlighted that one. That's a great one. They're 101 years old.
What was the one for Grace Episcopal?
Crescent Inn. I know you got your hands full. I will do that Google right there. Crescent Inn and Zion's Crossroads. I'll take care of that Google. Dude, my phone is blowing up. Crescent Inn. I hope they have an about page. Troy, Virginia. They're hyping their burgers. No, they don't have an about page. That's a bummer. Oh, the website is under construction. That's a frustrating one. This is what we'll do. We'll spend some time. You got Cosner Brothers on there?
Crescent Inn restaurant? Yeah. Only restaurant between Charlottesville and Richmond for many years. Opened in 1956.
1956. And you have Barrett Early Learning Center from Nora Gaffney is 1835, right?
Yeah.
1835 for Barrett?
Oh, it's
okay.
1835.
Oh, okay. What did I say it as?
I wrote down 1935.
Okay, 1835. She said Jerry Barrett, 1835. Thank you, Nora Gaffney.
Wow.
We're gonna take the Ronald Reagan approach, trust but verify with these as well, please, sir. And the beautiful thing about this is the ones that are being suggested in this crowdsource. This is very unique crowdsourcing here, done in a live video and podcast through the comment sections of 6 or 7 different social media platforms.
Grace Episcopal Church. The original was constructed in 1745. I think that's the earliest date we've got so far.
Stephanie,
the second building
1745?
The second building was built between 1846 and 1854 and consecrated in 1855.
Do we
40 years later, the church burned. The present church was rebuilt and consecrated in 1896. I don't know which of those dates we'd put.
The first one. The first one. 100%. 100% the first one. Do we include the churches in the list?
Maybe we make a separate list for every different type of business out there. I think I haven't even gotten all these down now.
No, I know. And I think this has value that we're providing the community. We also have to be mindful of time spent on the clock over here. Mm-hmm. We gotta be just throwing that out there. We gotta be mindful of time spent on the clock. Why don't we put together a fantastic list of all these, combining the churches, and then see where it goes from there, because I think the community will appreciate this. This is in some ways like documenting the trail, papering the digital trail. Wow, I did not anticipate the show going in this direction. Love you guys. Just got an email from Yaz Washington about the 2025 election. Haven't heard that name in a while, right? Oh, Melissa Carter just sent an email to me. She says the Blue Ridge Swim Club, 1913 for the Blue Ridge Swim Club. Thank you for that email, Melissa Carter. Man, I'm getting comments and text messages. We've hit something positive here.
1913?
Yeah, 1913 for the Blue Ridge Swim Club. And remember, we got to trust but verify these. And I'm sure what's going to happen. Riverview Cemetery, Philip Dow in Scottsville says you need to look into Riverview Cemetery. Why don't we put together this? I think you have at least 30 of these, don't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
St. Anne's Belfield Academy. Stab. Vanessa Parkhill says you need to look into that one. I think Tommy Brannick, was he part of the first graduating class of St. Anne's Belfield? I believe he was. Tommy Brannick. Let's see, looking at St. Anne's Belfield. In 1975, St. Anne's and a different school there's this pretty significant history of St. Anne's. It merged with another school. All right, I gotta go generate some revenue here, do some meetings. Oh my goodness. Did not anticipate the show going in this direction. We've been on air now for 70 straight minutes. We got to do some work here. All right, why don't we close with this? We'll do our best today and tomorrow, maybe today, putting this list together, and we can maybe spotlight it tomorrow. Publish it on ilovecville.com, and let's see if we can do a corresponding YouTube highlight reel, highlight clip. What are we going to call those things? Highlight show with it.
That one's going to be a while.
All right. And then that'll get something in the digital paper trail for the community to enjoy. And I bet that turns into some legacy media coverage. Okay. That is the Thursday edition of the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Just literally impromptu, on the fly show, unplanned content. We adapted to you guys. Judah Wickower, yours truly, Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for your insight. You guys this is exactly what we want with the show. You, the viewer and listener, made the show today. We just want to be the water cooler of the conversation. You guys made the show today. You guys are the absolute best. Tomorrow, 10:15 a.m. with Neil Williamson on Real Talk, and 12:30 with the I Love CVille show to close it down. So long, everybody.